Well, a very good afternoon to you, or for some people, it's a very good morning. Welcome to our Coaching Cafe webinar. And today we're going to be looking at 2021, the year we had in coaching cafes. My name is Natalie Ashdown from Open Door Coaching. It is a pleasure to be presenting this Coaching Cafe to you this morning, this afternoon, wherever you're listening to this podcast, this webinar, either live or perhaps you're listening to it on our podcast. It's been a fantastic year of coaching cafes, and it's just a really great opportunity to reflect on what we've covered this year. So that's our purpose. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners and the custodians on the lands on which we're all meeting today, and their continuing connection to the land, waters, and communities of Australia. And we pay our respects to them and to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and send out our acknowledgement to anyone who might be a traditional owner or the custodian on the lands on which you're meeting from your country today. So this was me during the year in full Zoom mode, and I've only just taken the flip charts down because I've actually had my last facilitation for the year. But really today, back in February, March, some of you will remember that we discussed what will the 5 trends be in our coaching, what 5 trends will influence our coaching in 2021. And so I thought we would recap today what we actually covered together in some of the highlights, and also how did we respond to those trends as an alumni. It's been a really lovely process. I sat down and really reflected on all of our discussions throughout the year. And it's been a really lovely, reflective process to say, wow, as a group, as an alumni, we came together nearly every Friday and had these great discussions. And it's nice to reflect back on that. So if you're new to our coaching cafes, welcome. We are all about creating a community. We have done this year for sure. We've shared our learned experience. There's a lot of very talented, very experienced coaches on the line. So it's been great to share our experience and to have those thought-provoking conversations. And of course, to those of you that have joined us throughout the year, you know that I love the coaching cafes. You know, it's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you every Friday. So thank you for being a part of it. If you are interested in ICF CCUs, just hold on the line at the end of our conversation together. I'll put up the CCU and you can simply take a screenshot of the CCU. Keep that in your pocket for when you're doing your reaccreditation. So there's Sir John Whitmore, sadly passed away a few years ago, but we use him and his ideas as thinking about our first trends. We're talking about 5 top trends and how did we respond throughout the year during our coaching cafes. So we thought at the beginning of the year that we really needed to leverage our abilities to adapt and reinforce new habits. As Sir John Whitmore says, coaching's not hard, it's changing our habits that's actually hard. So we thought as coaches, we would really have to help people leverage to adapt, to reinforce new habits, particularly coming out of 2020. Now, what was really interesting is that probably none of us expected as we came out of those hard lockdowns, particularly in Melbourne and in New South Wales, that for some of us, we would go back into very, very significant lockdowns because of the global pandemic. In fact, Melbourne, where I'm from and a number of you are from, broke the world record in terms of the most locked down days, which I don't know, it's not something that we were really that thrilled to own that world record. But what we were really focusing on throughout the year is coaching people under stress. How do we respond in terms of their personality types? How do we adapt to changing circumstances and the environment? How do we iron out wrinkles in our communication? Troubleshoot those friction points, which all those unspoken rules that are causing friction points. And, you know, take the good from the previous year and try and reinforce and leverage that. So in response, some of you may remember, we did our Taking Conversations to the Next Level Coaching Cafe. We also looked at bad questions and how to avoid ineffective questions. And we had a super great laugh when I actually demonstrated what bad coaching looked like. And it was pretty hard for Bridget and I to keep a straight face as we did that. So if you're looking for a little bit of summer reading or summer listening on the podcast, perhaps you might like to pick up some of those coaching cafes and have a re-listen. Our second trend, the fabulous Robin Williams talks about we talked about leading change as our next major trend. Robin Williams said, no matter what people tell you, words and ideas can change the world. And it's really true. We came together every Friday to share words and ideas that will change our worlds and the worlds that we live in with our clients. So we talked about coaching through change. We talked about forming, storming, and norming. And we also discussed calmness as an attractive leadership quality. This would be important moving forward. And we also discussed this trend about leaders needing to ask for help. And that was coming a lot out of the coaching that I was doing, that leaders were becoming very overwhelmed, trying to fix everybody's problems. And it was so important in our coaching to make sure that people were stepping up and asking for help. So in response, look, we had an enormous number of coaching cafes around this topic, and we were thinking about leading change. Because it was so important, we ran our International Coach Week conference this week on the theme of leading change. And if you want to pick up the webinars and the blogs from our leading change program that we ran for International Coach Week, feel free to hit the blog, and it's still on our website, so you can pick up the 2021 program on our website as well. Of course, we had the absolute opportunity to listen to the Air Force Coaching Leadership Program and how they were actually influencing change within the organisation and building a culture of coaching throughout the organisation. We had this great opportunity this year also to listen to leaders. So listening to Lisa Bowness, her experience in leading change through organisations, particularly government departments. And then one of our most popular downloads from our coaching podcast was listening to Jonathan Millen, who's currently at Tabcorp, talking about building engagement through coaching. We then took a look at the trend, which was around focusing on communication. So as we came out of lockdowns last year, we needed to really focus on our communication this year. And didn't we need to do that throughout the year as well? Einstein actually said, I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots. So, rather than allowing technology or the Zoom, we wanted to use our technology. We wanted to use technology to continue to connect throughout the year in this hybrid environment, but make sure that it didn't replace the human connections that we were having in any way that was possible. Now, for some of us that went through extended and long lockdowns, that human interaction was the thing that we really missed. So I loved being able to come together on the coaching cafes to interact in the way that we were doing. It was such a great opportunity. I looked forward to Fridays every week. We talked about what we need is 5 levels of conversation. We ran a whole coaching cafe on that. We needed to reestablish human connection rather than I don't have 10 minutes to talk to people. And there was a big trend around getting the mindset right for performance conversations, trying to find that balance also when it came to things like virtual meetings. And I'm sure a lot of you are still feeling it and will continue to feel it, that virtual meeting fatigue. So in response, as an alumni, we focused on these topics. We talked about coaching conversations to the next level. Bridget talked about the difference between good coaching and bad coaching. We had seminars and webinars on underperformance, and also those other topics around coaching through lockdown fatigue, which were really important. And I know a lot of you, I can see on the line here, a lot of you attended all of them, if not most of the webinars. So it's been terrific to see everyone just coming back week after week as well. Trend 4 that we looked at around when we started 2021 was looking on that focus on mental health, how important it was in 2020 and how it would continue to be important in 2021. Now, we know as an alumni, we've always been focused on mental health. What we noticed was the heightened need for it, and that's going to continue for sure into 2022 and beyond. So I love this quote from Glenn Close, and this is what we try to do. She says, what mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, more unashamed conversations. So we try to really bring that to our forums throughout the coaching cafes, and indeed, we ran Mental Health Awareness Week, which was wonderful. I got to do meditation every morning. I ran the morning meditation, and I have to tell you, I didn't actually expect many people to turn up, but they did. You all came and joined us for the morning meditation. And if you're listening to the podcast, we've even loaded one of the morning meditations up onto the podcast, and you can pick them up on our conference page for Mental Health Awareness Week. So you can pick that up our website as well. So we focus on how to start conversations about mental health challenges with colleagues, and also where do we stop coaching, or where's that line between coaching and mental health conversations kicking in. We talked about recognizing the signs of anxiety and depression in the workplace, and also helping people with post-COVID stress and trauma. Well, that post-COVID stress and trauma has continued for many people. And I think in our coaching, as we move forward, we'll continue to be aware of this. We'll continue to think about how can we assist our clients in focusing on their mental health? How can we make a referral if we need to? I know a number of you attended our mental health first aid training, which has been absolutely fantastic. And Nick in our office is an absolute specialist in that training. So it was wonderful to have so many of you attend that training. And I know there's lots of bookings for next year as well, which is just wonderful. So here are all the different webinars we ran. Coaching your team through lockdown fatigue. Actually, that coaching your team through lockdown fatigue, we actually ran it twice during the year. We ran it kind of mid-year, and then we ran it back in, I think it was, a couple of months ago. We really noticed, particularly when Melbourne went into that last lockdown, people were so tired. You started to see a lot of protests, a lot of unrest going on in the community. A lot of the coaching was around people being very fatigued, very, really over it, really. And I've just come off a workshop working with executives this morning, and they're talking about it as well, that people really need a break now, and they really need to somehow refresh and overcome that fatigue. So we're going to see this continue, we think. So we want to keep an eye out. That's why we've run things like recognizing the signs of anxiety, depression in the workplace. I loved that webinar we did too. You can pick it up on our website around all the podcasts, around juggling. So getting away from that idea that we have to juggle, and just let's put the balls down and let's take 10 minutes just to recap. Where are we at? We looked at the need to using start, stop, more of, and less of. Let's put the balls down. Let's think about what we need to start focusing on. What do we need to stop doing? What do we need to perhaps do more of? And what can we do less of? So putting those, bringing those coaching tools out is really important. And of course, that stop, start, more of, less of model that we use in all of our coaching, you can use it in a lot of different circumstances as well. So as I mentioned, Mental Health Awareness Week for 2021, we knew that there'd never been a better time in history to focus on mental health. So it was great to be able to bring you that program. What we have done together as an alumni, and this is what I feel very grateful for and very privileged to be a part of, is this other trend that we noticed at the beginning of the year, which we have responded to throughout the year. And that was the need to focus on ourselves and our continuous development, our development as leaders and our development as coaches. The more we can focus on filling up our own cups, our own developing our own self-awareness, our own ability to grow ourselves, the more we have the ability to serve others. And I think truly that's what we've done throughout our coaching cafes together this year. We've been able to take the time out to do that at this time, just the half hour. Many of you have got it locked into your diaries like I do, and that's been an absolute privilege. It's Dr. Seuss that said, the more you read, the more things you will know. The more you learn, the more places you will go. And I think we have done that this year. I think we have learned a lot together, and we've found lots of places to go in our conversations. We talked about this trend of keeping up the momentum and helping people keep up their motivation, but not other people. We talked about our own motivation and our own momentum and how we can reinvest in our development. And if we do that, we can develop individuals and teams around us as coaches, as leaders, but also in the very other varied roles that we play as partners, as spouses, as parents, as guardians, as aunties, uncles, friends, whatever it might be. In all of those many different roles that we play, how can we also reinvest in ourselves given all of the roles that we play? So we looked at developing continuous improvement. And this year in particular, we took another look and another refocus on coaching culture and how we as coaches and as leaders help influence the culture of coaching within our organizations. So these are on our blog page. They're also on the podcast. The webinars we ran around building best practice in a coaching culture. We did not one, but 2 webinars on return on investment. They were the most highly attended webinars. So it gives us a bit of a trend. We will definitely focus on that again for you for next year. And we had this lovely opportunity to focus on the characteristics of coaching champions. And we talked about what does it really mean as a coach? What does it really mean as a leader to champion coaching within our workplace? So we had a great conversation around that. And for some of you, you'll remember, we invited Lisa Barness, who's an expert in introducing coaching within her organizations, mostly government departments. We talked to her about what was it was introducing coaching in her role at Sun Super, and then in the Department of Queensland government departments. So there you go. That were the 5 trends that we actually saw at the beginning of the year. We saw them play out really, and we responded to them throughout the year in our coaching cafes together, which I think was wonderful to be able to do together. I'd be keen to hear any of your thoughts on any of those trends that we've talked about, or perhaps you might like to share your reflections on the coaching cafes that you've had. So feel free to pop a message into the chat box and I can pick up your comments from there. So we ran over 20 webinars. We also did the week, which was International Coach Week 2020, and we ran Mental Health First Aid Week, Mental Health Awareness Week. In the webinars alone, we had over 1,000 registrations, which was just amazing. And then we also this year introduced the Coaching Café podcast. It was really amazing. People just started downloading and listening to the podcast. We thought we'd been planning this and wanting to do it for ages, and then everybody responded, which was fantastic. So every week the coaching podcasts get downloaded, and even though I deliver the Coaching Cafe, and I've delivered many of them, I actually look forward to the push notifications of the Coaching Cafe as well. I'm using Spotify, or you can use Apple as well, whichever format you're using. So I kind of like to see it, and then I might re-listen back to one of the podcasts as well. We've had Bridget join us this year. So as I was walking home from a meeting just during the week, I was listening to one of Bridget's podcasts as well, which has been fantastic. So any thoughts or comments about the year? the trends, the cafes. We will be making sure that we respond to your needs and what's really important, what you like to listen to. We'll be doing that in the new year. So we'll be framing up our new program for the new year, and look forward to bringing you a lot of new podcasts, as well as maybe a reflection and a look at the ones that were most popular from last year. Well, that just leaves me. Thanks, Di. It's been really great to have you a part of it as well. That just leaves me to say thank you to you all. It's been a privilege to bring you all of not just the content, but all of these opportunities to connect as an alumni, to connect as a coaching community, to enable our own professional development, our own continuous improvement as coaches and as leaders. I think it's through the coaching cafes, it keeps me nice and sharp. A lot of people have said that it keeps you sharp, keeps you thinking about coaching, keeps you thinking about what can we do during the week, what's a focus during our week. So it's been a real privilege to bring you this content. So thank you. I wish you all the best for the coming Christmas period, the summer break here in Australia if you're taking it. We will be taking some time off. We'll be back. We'll be taking some time off, and the Coaching Cafe will be back probably in February, I think. So you can watch out for some of the announcements. In the meantime, we're running a summer program. So this is your opportunity maybe just to get onto the podcast and have a listen to some of the coaching cafes over the summer break as well. So thank you, everyone. It's been so wonderful. Oh, Nicole, thank you. Thank you. Peter, yeah, thank you. Peter's saying, have a blessed and meaningful Christmas. See you in 2022. I think that really sums it up, isn't it, Peter? That's what we want for everyone, to have a blessed Christmas, Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. A really, really important and refreshing and energizing break. And then we look forward to catching up with you. Absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone. I will say goodbye for now. Let me pause the recording. For those of you that are after the CCEU, you can pick this up in just a minute. So thank you, everyone. All the best. And thank you so much for being part of such an amazing Coaching Cafe series. As I said, I really love coming together like we did every Friday. And I really look forward to catching up in the new year. Claps all around. I'll say goodbye for now.